I am elated. I've never been called a colleague by you. I've been called several things, but colleague is not one of them. So yeah, I'm getting off to a great start this morning. Uh, but colleague, that's a little different. I'm going to take that one for the team.
For the team.
Yep, yep.
So, what's up, Clark Kent? How you doing this morning? I know you make no face. And then I want you to know the way you just pushed your glasses up with your finger like that. That's how Clark Kent would push his glasses up. I swear to God, no lie. When when before he would go into the phone booth and turn into Superman, he would push his glasses up with one finger just like that. So you channeling Clark. Family.
I think Curry thinks the glasses makes him look older.
You think so?
Yeah, that's what he's going through this thing. That's what it is.
See, I was just at the bar the other day.
He was just at the bar the other day.
I thought young folks go to clubs. He old. He's been here before.
Yeah, he old. Hanging around his grandma. He was at the bar the other day, and what happened?
He was like, hey, how old are you? I was like, I'm 19. He's like,
he was at the bar.
I'm just trying to get some food.
Security wanted to know how old he was. He said, I'm 19.
He said, you can come in, but just hold on. I got to let you know that you're not of age. You seem like a player, though.
He said all that, Carvey. You seem like a player.
So Carvey was trying to get into the bar to get,
he said
to
it's
get
the glasses
some food. What bar was you at trying to get some food?
Scene one.
Oh, scene one. Oh yeah. They was checking for you. Maybe I'm in the scene one in a minute.
Where is scene one?
Up here off of North Avenue. What is that? 50 something?
Yeah.
Cause I wonder is it if I remembered it right, the brother who owned Mikasa and the brother who owned scene one, they actual brothers. Yeah, that's what I thought. Okay.
Mikasa down in MLK.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Who has exceptionally good food.
Yeah, you're just gonna wait.
I mean, because you just cooked the order.
Yeah, I get it, but you're gonna wait.
I mean, yeah, I go in Mikasa when I ain't got nothing else to do. When I don't have nothing else to do.
I guess that's part of the experience.
It's like going to a whole bunch of black restaurants. Right. You can't be in no hurry messing with these people. Because, I realize a lot of people cook in the order. You don't just have food just sitting there. Right. So I understand it. And I just have a different mindset when I know I'm going to our spot. But I'm going to tell you, I went to a new place. I had seen Rod out with some food. And I was like, oh, that look good. Where you got that from? So he told me about it. So I went. Yeah, I will only do takeout from them. It was so loud in that restaurant. It just loud. I ain't naming no names, but just loud. Folks in there cussing like they was outside working in the coal mine. It just because it was old. It was old dude, older dude. I mean, I'm like, and bruh, it's like little kids running around, and he just cussing. I'm like turning around, looking like ain't nobody gonna say nothing.
So the experience wasn't good.
No, and it was just loud.
But how was the food?
The food was marvelous.
Okay.
You heard me say I'm only gonna get takeout from there. Right. But like it was just loud and ignorant, and the man was cussing, and it was little kids like 4, not quite school age, running, in there with they people, and he just talking, and I'm like, nobody gonna say, bruh. Number one is. Anybody trying to hear all that?
And you didn't say anything?
I started to, but I didn't feel like it. I'm like, I get tired of always having to be the person.
That's not like you. You must not.
Because I always have to do it. I get tired of always having to be the person to call BS out. Like, you just get tired of it sometimes. Like, you know what? Y'all ignorant. Let me just
get my
food and get out of here.
This could turn into something way different.
I mean, and I don't think, well, it could have, because dude, he was extra. He was real extra. That was talking real loud and cussing all crazy. So it could have turned into something extra. But, I'm just looking. I'm just even looking like at the parents of these kids. Like, y'all don't care that us, but y'all probably talk crazy around your kids
too. The proprietor or whomever was in charge should have checked that.
I mean, you would think, but they was loud too.
Wow.
They weren't cursing. They were actually very, very nice people. But I'm just looking at people like y'all. It's a restaurant. Like you creating an atmosphere for people to come in here and dine. I might have wanted to meet somebody up there to discuss, a business, some business, and like, oh, let me go support this restaurant. And you got all this foolishness going on in your spot. Like, I can't come up in here with this.
Yeah.
But I mean, just for me, it was too much. I was like, nah, y'all can't get nothing but my money and takeout. I can't. I cannot eat in here. But so folks, let me just say this. You may detect I'm a little subdued this morning because I am battling a cold. Got my butt kicked all weekend, but it did not stop me from going to see Wendell Pierce over at G's. He and his wife Erica Woods viewing the movie. The Barber from Little Rock, or let me see what the name of the movie is. But absolutely inspiring to attend the event. It's some people when you meet them. So Wendell Pierce, that's the brother I interviewed the other day, and I know Erica interviewed with Keith. She talked about the fact that she was supposed to do a 15-minute interview. It ended up being like an hour because she enjoyed talking to Keith so much. She actually even did a video for me to send to Keith because I wasn't sure he had seen her, and then he told me, he said, "No, I saw her over at Pepper Pot." But I said, "Can you do a video for me to send to my man?" And she was like, "Of course." And then when she realized I was my Keith, she was like, "Oh, like I talked to him for like an hour." But there are people that send out surrogates for their campaign, and in this case, Wendell Pierce is out on the campaign trail as a surrogate for the Harris Walls campaign. And while I certainly believe, they're Democrats and they believe in, the cause or whatever, they just out here. And they trying to help. Wendell Pierce was such a genuine brother. Like when I say stayed for every question, stayed for every picture, everybody got greeted, dapped up, hugged like they was like cousins. And his wife was the exact same way. A lot of good information, and just talking about helping people understand what's at stake. So I really, really appreciate it. And I mean, this brother was here full force all weekend. I didn't make it yesterday. I was like, I can't. I just was feeling too bad yesterday to go to the brunch that they did over at the African American Women's Center. I heard it was very well attended. Number of, folks there in the building for that. The canvassing that went on, the different barbershops that got visited. And I just walked away like this is the kind of interaction and interface we need to help people understand kind of what can be done if the right folks are in office. So I just want to say, and G, gracious host, he was a part of the panel. Kwame and I hosted the panel discussion, and Alderwoman Charlotte Moore was a part of it as well. So it was really good. It was really good. How was?
Do we know what churches he attended on yesterday?
I never did find out. I wasn't feeling well enough to be nosy. And I'm like, if I ain't going, I don't care. So I don't know which churches he ended up attending, but I can tell you this. There was a point when he was talking at the very end of the evening, and that it started at 5:30. We were there to 8:30, going on 9:00. And I left and he was still there when I walked out the door. Because he was enamored with the fact that there is a health clinic inside G's barbershop, and he just was like, when I get back home, oh, we doing this, so he was just enamored. He actually talked about like Milwaukee ain't number New Orleans, it was like this, like being at home. So he had those moments, but he at the end, he talked about wrapping up the filming on the movie Selma. He had played in that movie, and he said the production crews had broken everything down. They were moving all the equipment, and he said he was just left standing on the bridge. And he talked about looking into the Alabama River, and not necessarily connected to the Edmund Pettus uh, drama, but the stories about all of the Black people that had met their demise in that river, intentional, murders, um, racism, how people had been treated. And while he was telling us this, because he was bringing home a bigger, broader point, while he was telling us this, you could see like he had that moment where he stopped talking. And you know how when people trying to like rebalance, recalibrate.
Gather themselves.
Yeah, he took his hand and he hit his knee, and then just took a breath. And all this is playing out while we sitting there watching him. And then, but if you could, like from where I was sitting, you could see that his eyes was filling up with tears. And he just talked about, and for some people they'll be like, that gets old trying to say, do it for our ancestors, do it for those that came before us. It gets old. What are we talking about now? Give me something current. But you could just see his connection to the past and understanding, what these people had gone through for us to be in a position to go and not have anybody attack us or, turn us away or jail us because we trying to have this basic right to vote and, make a decision about who's going to be in these offices. So he finishes. So I, because at one point when Quab and I was asking people, elected officials in the House, please stand, blah, blah, blah. And then Quab being funny, he was like, are there any radio personalities in the House? And so, I started laughing and I just sat there and, people was like, Michelle. So he looked up when people said my name and I was sitting on the end. He looked up and when he realized it was, they were pointing at me, he pointed at me and, like just, yeah, it's you. And I was like, hey, bro, what's happening? So when we go back to the end after he was talking about standing on the bridge in Selma, I walk up to say hello. And when I tell you, he grabbed me and hugged me and held on. And you could, his eyes was red. And you could see the tears in his eyes. And he stood back and he said, Michelle, we got to get this done. He said, this man is, we got to get this done. And I said, I hear you, bro. I understand. He was like, I'll come back here as many times as I need to. But we got to get this woman elected. We cannot let this man get reelected. It was one of the most genuine moments I have ever seen from a political surrogate in my life. And so I just had to say kudos for him because he said I wanted to come. He kept recounting. Listeners to this show had called in and said, Michelle, this was years ago, it's white boys riding around the neighborhood with guns. Mm-hmm. And some brothers heard about it. And brothers, like posseed up. It was like, what's going on in our community? And he talked about reading about that and being so impressed that bros was standing up in their own community that when an opportunity came, he was like, no, I want to go to Milwaukee. So he specifically said he chose to come here. Mm-hmm. So that was really, it was a good session. The one thing I will tell people though, when folks come, you got to know the assignment because the speakers were good, but to be able to do more to connect the work of the Biden-Harris administration to real things impacting our community, because that's why he was here. He was talking about because these dollars have been made available, we able to go in and rebuild. He talked about when his parents' home was destroyed during Katrina in Pontchartrain, Mississippi, that the big developers were coming in doing everybody else's development. Their neighborhood association went after the dollars to rebuild their own area. And, so what they did with the rebuild was crazy. People's homes, energy efficient. I think he said like they had houses like 2,500 square feet that have no more than $100 in utility costs because of the types of, equipment that they put in. But just helping people understand the dollars that were available and what the Biden Harris team did to put funds in place to either help small business, help these communities rebuild. Like you hadn't seen this level of outlay of money before, like ever.
Mhm.
And so just helping people better be able to connect the dots. And that was one of the things that I was sitting there just saying, like, it was some of it was kind of unfortunate that people didn't have some of the information to be able to tell people in the room, let me help you understand how on North Avenue what that looks like. How many new businesses are created in Milwaukee because of the rescue dollars, the ARPA money that came in,
Mhm.
to be able to really drive those points home. And because that's what's going to be needed, because we can talk about feel good stuff all day, but you got to be able to help people when folks like, what have you done for me lately? You got to be able to help people to connect those dots. We can see here in education, schools reopening, lead lateral dollars coming in, X, Y, and Z, da 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 da. People didn't get put out of their house, and we saved, 3,800 people from being evicted during COVID. Da, da, da. You got to be able to connect those dots, and that's
I want to see
where,
the impact that it
yeah,
has had on
and
me.
so that I
Yeah.
think that was for me was the only missed opportunity, is that we didn't have those dots get connected. So that like Wendell was driving them, he was really driving them, but we didn't have someone that was
Our
able.
local elected officials should have been able to speak to that.
Well, Charlene was there, but she's only been in office for
Right.
4 months.
I know she's new.
Yeah, she's new. But it would have, and Supreme was the only elected official when they called for elected officials that I saw that was there. But he's been here, so I know people went to other events. But one of the things I would just tell people is understand the assignment. We're not just here to kick it and be, a part of the conversation. You helping to drive a message.
Mhm.
You're helping to make a point and connect dots for our community. In case you didn't understand, this is what this administration has helped to manifest in our own neighborhoods.
It's
So-
amazing as I sit here and think, Michelle, correct me if I'm wrong, but the RNC or the Republican Party's office is right on the other corner, right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
That's just amazing to me.
Yeah, right down the right down on the other end of the block. And that's the difference. So that's what will help to move people, because as people are trying to decide, how does this, like, I was listening to something driving in this morning, and I gotta go to break, but people were saying, that one of the questions that will be asked tomorrow at the debate by Donald Trump potentially is, are you better off today than you were when I was president? And like, it baffles me, honest to God, that anybody could say that life was better under a Trump presidency. And I'm looking at, where we are in terms of gas is reasonable to me. Most things, people keep talking about how high everything is, but I'm just like, y'all, this has nothing to do with Biden Harris. It's many of these private companies that's gouging the fire out of y'all since coming off COVID. They got used to making that crazy money during COVID.
Kroger just recently admitted that they were gouging.
Yeah, like we have literally seen companies, and that's one of the things that Kamala said, is that I'm going to be going after these people for what they've been doing. But when you've been paying $7 for eggs during COVID, don't tell me when we was paying what, 89 cents. Don't tell me people didn't get used to that. And so it's just so frustrating. Some poll came out yesterday that said it was 48 to 47 in terms of Trump and Kamala. And everything you just know about this dude. And you're just looking at people like, how y'all? How can we be this close of a margin? That's why it's going to be important that people understand, and the point that Wendell and the panel was trying to make in all of these visits is that we cannot take anything for granted. There is no guarantees. This is going to come down to the wire in terms of making sure that Donald Trump does not get reelected. This is going to come down to the wire. Everybody is going to have to do their part. Let me take a break. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, 860 AM, 106.5 FM. Be right back. Paying attention to everything that went on in the world of football yesterday. I know some of y'all thought about me. I know some of y'all said, I want to hear her mouth. Here she go. She gonna be talking crazy in the morning. Let me not disappoint you. Let me not disappoint you. When it comes to the situation involving Tyreek Hill, let me not disappoint you. So, anybody that was paying attention to the news or Sunday football, you know that Miami Dolphins player Tyreek Hill was pulled over by the Miami-Dade police for allegedly speeding while trying to get to the stadium. He was a block away from the stadium about 3 hours before the kickoff. Okay? Block away, about 3 hours before game time. It was a traffic violation of some sort, but it escalates to Tyreek being removed from his vehicle, placed on the ground in handcuffs. At one point, you can see him being forcibly shoved to the ground by a police officer, placed in handcuffs. He was laid on his back, face on the nasty pavement, and an officer puts his knee on Tyreek. It is also alleged, but I didn't see that from the video angle I was looking at, that he was actually struck by an officer. This was all connected to a traffic violation. And so while they're saying that the whole thing lasted for several minutes, there were a number of fans, teammates who passed by and saw what was going on, recognized Tyreek, started recording. Some of the players themselves tried to come over to see what was going on. His manager gets called to the scene. Family members know what's happening with Tyreek. All of this because of a traffic violation. And you actually can hear on one of the bystanders recording one officer just cussing at Tyreek and talking crazy to him and just outright crazy disrespect. And of course, they ultimately figure out who this brother is. You done made a hell of a mistake. He's allowed to leave and go on to the game. But one of the things that Tyreek talked about, he said, quote, "It's hard. I don't want to bring race into it, but sometimes it gets kind of iffy when you do. What if I wasn't Tyreek Hill? Lord knows what those guys would have done. I just wanted to make sure I was doing what my uncle always told me to do whenever you're in a situation like that. Put your hands on the steering wheel and just listen." Tyreek said he had no idea why officers placed him in handcuffs. He said he was not disrespectful. He didn't use profanity. And other players, who were looking at it, just said they could not believe that they saw him lying on the ground, handcuffed, with 4 officers standing over him. Why are 4 officers involved in a traffic stop? Why you got your knee on somebody on the ground in a traffic stop? What you get? And I think they tried to charge him with like reckless driving or some foolishness like that. But what? How does this elevate to 4 officers? He was big, he was black, he was driving a nice car, and y'all was getting ready to make a point. And all niggas look alike. Until somebody points out that's Tyreek Hill. Because if you got handcuffed, just Michelle Bryant or Joe Bryant, if you got handcuffed by the police, if they done pulled you out your car and handcuffed you and put you on the ground, the likelihood was great that they was getting ready to lie and say something to have you arrested and have that nice, pretty car towed away. Because why am I pulling you out the car for a traffic stop? Why are you on the ground, face down in the dirty pavement for a traffic stop? Then they sit him up Why I gotta sit on the ground? Like, that's the most disrespectful, dehumanizing mess that the police do, sitting people on the dirty, filthy ground for a traffic stop. Why? Well, it gives us the upper hand in case you want to run. You need to figure out something else to do than sit me on a dirty, nasty ground. And it's always interesting to see who frequently is the ones that's sitting on the dirty, nasty ground. So one of the things that this brother does, even though he's upset, you done been embarrassed, you done been handled crazy. Somebody done can you imagine somebody putting a knee on you? You pull me over for speeding on Capitol Drive, and I'm on the ground with your knee in my back. So they pull him, let him go. And he goes on, gets his head back in the game, plays, has this 80-yard touchdown. And sports commentators, people, anchors and stuff. Yeah, but he was able to play and, score a touchdown. Because that's what black people do every day. He didn't do nothing miraculous. He did what black people do every day. You encounter this nonsense, these aggressions, whether micro or macro, you encounter these. And then you got to get your head back in the game and go on and do your job. And that's what he did. He's already a world-class player. So him making an 80-yard touchdown is not unfathomable. He did what he had to do. But you do that understanding that you just were treated less than human in the streets a block away from your job. And to the point that he made, what if I'm not Tyreek? How does this go for a brother who does not have name ID and play for a Major League Football team? How does this go for him? How does it go for this brother? And of course, you know where it took me to. Because somebody had just asked me the question about whether or not I was going to be watching. And I was like, y'all stop playing with me. Y'all know I don't watch football no more. I will look at some college games. I'm definitely watching HBCU games, but I do not mess with the NFL no more. Y'all know that. The same thing that Colin Kaepernick was talking about. Same thing. Here we are years later. I don't even remember now how long it's been since Colin been out the league. 5 years, 6 years? It's the same stuff. And nothing changes because we won't keep up pressure on people's neck to make it stop changing. To make it change. What'd you say? And Carvey said, and we the talent. We the product. That's the thing that's so crazy. And even as I watched Tyreek's manager talk about, how Tyreek was impacted and we're going to likely look at all legal remedies and blah, blah, blah. I even still felt, like irritated by his manager. Because I'm like, I had a whole moment. White boy, we don't need you to be no spokesperson. Because don't nobody, if it wasn't Tyreek, you wouldn't have nothing to say. None of y'all would have nothing to say if it wasn't Tyreek. So spare me he was like, oh, after George Floyd, I just would have thought, well, what did you do to help apply pressure to get the George Floyd and Policing Act passed? I'm going to keep saying it. Until we value us, nobody else is going to value us. Until we use our economic power to shut stuff down, nobody else will value us. We let people mistreat us. We let people talk crazy to us. Somebody can shake a few dollars and we right back in the game. This is exactly why Colin Kaepernick is not in the NFL today. Exactly why. And the man who called him a SOB and had crowds foaming at the mouth, throwing red meat, racist nonsense, disrespects the military, disrespects POWs, disrespects, Gold Star families, disrespects Arlington Cemetery. This dude is neck and neck for the presidency of the United States. And Tyreek says, you don't want to bring race in it. Boy, race belong in this conversation. When he said it, I almost hit the roof. Because this is about race. It's about race. How many white boys would have been driving that car, and nice car, expensive car, you get pulled up for a traffic violation, you end up on the ground, face down in the pavement with officers' knees in your back and people cussing at you and talking crazy to you. It was about race. But it's not going to change because Dr. Dre got some money to do the halftime show. Shake it fast. Watch yourself. That's all we got to do. Get these niggas a party. Let them party. That's all you got to do. Give them a party. Carvey said a circus. And let me just say this, because I don't know how many of you saw Club Shay Shack. When Marlon Wayans was on there. Have any of y'all seen that episode of Club Shay Shay? Did you hear what he said about the Super Bowl halftime show? And he reminded me, because I remember when it happened. So, and let me see if there's video. So he talked about that, and I got to figure out what year this was. He talked about the fact that, remember the TV show In Living Color, which was done by the Wayans. The Super Bowl was happening, and up until this point, the Super Bowl had did collegiate bands on the field. It was real hokey. Wasn't nobody tuning in to the halftime show. That's when you ate. Y'all, when it got food off the grill, chopped it up, kicked it, did whatever. You was not looking at the halftime show. What's that Wayans? What's the big hit, the oldest Wayans? Keenan Wayans, with his TV show In Living Color, got the idea to do a halftime show on Fox during the halftime of the Super Bowl. This is at the height of the popularity of the show, height of the popularity of In Living Color. And he, they bill it, they advertise it. Instead of watching the halftime show for the Super Bowl, click over to Fox and check us out. We doing a live In Living Color, blah, blah, blah. 20 million viewers flipped the channel and left the station that was showing the Super Bowl during halftime and flipped over to Fox. He literally stole, pulled, grabbed 20 million NFL viewers to leave the halftime show and come over and watch their 40-minute skit, or however long it was, or In Living Color. The NFL was so mad because you got sponsors that pay crazy money, or bought commercial ads that's gonna run during that halftime show or whatever. They were so mad that they said this will never happen again. It will never happen again. And so what did they do? The next year, who was the halftime entertainment for the Super Bowl? Michael Jackson. They used a brother to shut down brothers. Michael Jackson. And that started this star-studded, performances that we now get with the Super Bowl. It was done in response to Keenan Wayans being a genius and saying, we are going to steal the Super Bowl audience and bring them over and watch it live in color, and then they can go back and go back to the game. And that's exactly what happened. And the NFL said it'll never happen again. And that's how we started getting all of these high profile stars that do the halftime show. Don't tell me that we don't always be somewhere in the mix. We're not always somewhere in the background when stuff is going on. But when I heard him say that, I had to go back and look to see when that happened, because I remembered turning over. I remembered going to check out the show. I had actually been to California to see a live taping of In Living Color. Huge fan. It was cutting edge comedy. And that's how we get the halftime shows that we get right now. And so they already have announced that Kendrick Lamar is going to be one of the Super Bowl performers for 2025. Just get ready to let people know. But once you get past the entertainment of it all, when do we get to the business of it all? We want people to handle us differently, but we're not willing to do what it takes to force that change. Because if we mess with the NFL money, the NFL gonna mess with the police on our behalf. Do you understand how that works? You mess with they multi-million dollars that in some cases is, particularly depending on where these stadiums are located and what kind of revenue comes in, they gonna mess with the local elected officials. They're gonna be on the mayor's back, the common council members' back. Hey. Whatever crazy is going on with policing in this town, y'all need to cut this out because y'all impacted our bottom line. That's the way people were able to stop apartheid in South Africa, is because they leveraged their economic buying power with major companies like Coca-Cola that were doing business in South Africa. That was the lifeblood for South African economy. And we're like, we will never buy Coke again if y'all don't get this cleaned up. But, we won't do it. We won't do it. The amount of stuff we could stop if we just utilized our economic strength. Black people spend more money than any other demographic in this country. Did you hear what I said? Unfortunately, we are the biggest consumers in this nation. Our buying power is ignorant. That's why when Colin Kaepernick had his drama and white folks was talking about they was burning Nikes was looking like, ain't nobody gonna miss y'all. Ain't nobody gonna miss y'all at all. Because y'all ain't our money. The folks that support Colin Kaepernick, that's our money. You can burn them Nikes you burning, you done have for 5 years. I'm just saying.
And you go get them resold.
Thank you. Thank you. Black people flipping Nikes like we flip underwear. Like, what are you talking about?
Right.
And we got multiple, shoes for multiple outfits. This is a fashion statement for us. It ain't just about athletics. So, y'all, I'm going to keep asking the question. What does it take for us to move for us? What it take? What it take? I don't think these are hard questions. I just don't. So I'm going to keep saying it ad nauseum. I'm going to keep saying it that we have a degree of power to stop some of this stuff from happening to us. And we don't. Whether that's locally, and applying pressure to elected officials and letting people know your behind will not be getting back in office if you don't. Somebody said, oh, thank you, Craig. Craig said the golfer, when Scotty Scheffler gets pulled over, headed to the PGA Championship, he was not handled the way Tyreek was. And he supposedly punched an officer. Make it make sense. Well, we know now that he didn't hit an officer. But no, he wasn't handled that way. Not at all. Not at all. So I'll take a break. But, when I come back, I got to also mention something. Now, this is going to sound like gossip. It's going to sound like some tea. I'm just telling y'all right now. But I'm going to actually make it make sense. I'll be right back. a little it might sound a little gossipy, um, but I'm still gonna have the conversation nevertheless. So, people know that I'm from Alabama and got tons of family friends on that end. And while primarily a lot of the family is Montgomery, Lowndes County, um, in Birmingham, Jefferson County, got folks in Huntsville too. And so uh, I have had some interesting conversation about a former Milwaukee pastor who went down to First Missionary Baptist Church in Huntsville, Alabama. Dr. Don Darius Butler, the Reverend Dr. Don Darius Butler. I used to make jokes. I used to kid on the radio, me and Keon, all the time because I loved his name, Don Darius. I just said it just sounded like a real slick name. And but people who had ever had an opportunity to hear this brother preach, um, there was something very king-esque about him. He reminded you uh, in stature and in style of a Dr. King in his delivery of his sermons. Extremely educated, very, very smart brother. And excuse me, all of that came through in his presentation. Reverend Butler also was somebody that was politically astute. He paid attention to the local and national politics. He was one of those faith leaders that when I'm working as a political director on campaigns, I could call and say, hey, I'm trying to set up meetings with this candidate and members of the faith community. And he would readily welcome those meetings. He didn't shy away from understanding how who was in office impacted his congregation. And at the very least, he was always willing, at least with me, to say, let's make sure people know who these folks are. And so when word happened that he was going to be leaving Milwaukee, I was actually sad to see him go because I'm like, I saw some things that he was doing here in the city that were getting other faith leaders to the table who had not politically been at the table before. So, and all within the parameters of being a 501c3, not violating any of those lines, blurring those lines, but civically engaged. That's what I should say, not politically, but civically engaged. So he goes to First Missionary Baptist Church. So the folks that I know down in Huntsville, they, like, we got y'all boy down here. Like, yeah. So they had been talking about it had been a little rocky, when he first gets there, because First Missionary Baptist Church is one of those that, storied historical church in Huntsville. The previous pastor, huge name, highly revered in Reverend Scruggs. So it was a big deal getting that position. Well, over the weekend, evidently, there was a call to remove to remove Reverend Butler from leadership at the church. And they were talking about that the locks on the doors had got changed by him, trying to keep certain members out. And, on Facebook, I was able to go and look at posts that were showing up on Facebook. And they were talking about that they were going to be taking a vote this Saturday at 10 a.m. about his removal. And on Wednesday, he evidently was having a town hall in which he was going to talk about discontent at the church and what was going on. So I haven't heard yet if he was removed from leadership. He did not preach according to what I I think I saw or a line this past weekend, but people have talked about this brother in a way that I don't even recognize. I mean, some of the stuff that got said on Facebook, number one, I was like, well, we saying all this on Facebook, but it was a lot. It was a lot going on down there. So I had been following him though, because he's been outspoken on IVF treatments and, like I said, civically engaged, paying attention to the political issues. So I don't know if that level of interest or advocacy, like how you go from being a coveted, highly desirable pastor to now there is a contingency of the congregation that is trying to run him out of the church is nothing short of crazy. So I'm gonna keep my ear peeled, because I know a lot of folks with the tabernacle thought a lot of Reverend Butler, but when I tell y'all he going through down in Huntsville right now, yeah, it's a whole thing, and it was nasty. It was information that I'm just like I said, church folks is cutthroat folks in terms of the way some of this stuff was being handled on social media and Facebook. I was like, ooh, ooh, ooh. So I don't know how many of y'all have kept up with the Reverend since he left Milwaukee, but this was supposed to be like, definitely this was a step up in terms of churches and the move. It wasn't seen as a lateral move, it was seen as a big move. And yeah, none of that has worked out. It has been nothing short of a hot mess since he got down there. And I was hearing that from the minute he got there until now, it culminating with, like I said, they said locks on the church doors being changed and social media accounts being locked up. And I went and looked at some videos where it was folks that was preaching, talking about, we got to not be divisive and stay together. And the politics of the church is just like the politics in these streets. What people are willing to do to either further an agenda or move people around, nothing short of crazy. So I just had to say that, because I was like getting the information, and I just couldn't believe that this was the same Reverend who I knew and had worked with. But I ain't know him personally. I wasn't there every day, so I don't know, what people are like when you dealing with them on a daily level. But when I tell you he getting his head peeled down in Alabama, and that's what somebody was like, Michelle, you already know how they do it down here. You already know. I was like, yeah, it can be ruthless. So he is going through. So if you are friends with the Reverend Butler, formerly a Tabernacle, y'all might want to reach out to your boy and check on him. Somebody said sometimes the church is like the mafia. uh, that's what it's got to feel like. That's what it's got to feel like. And I mean, it's just crazy how you can go from one situation to another, and your whole existence and reality is turning upside down. But I just that just got the best of me, because I just know a very different brother. And so we'll see. So I'm going to be trying to find out today. I wasn't feeling good, and didn't follow up after they meet on Saturday to figure out what happened, if they voted to remove him. I looked on the website this morning. His name's still on the website. But to see if they voted to remove him from leadership or not down in Alabama. So, like I said, it sounds more like tea, but it's also something to be said for different styles of leadership coming in behind a storied, revered pastor when the family of that pastor is still in the church, because a lot of the former pastor's family still there. Some of the Facebook comments that's like, just buck wild is from the former pastor's family. So just it could just be messy. It could just be wholly, fully a hot mess. And I just would have never guessed that. I would have never thought that would have been the case for him. But because just like when Demond went down south, Dr. Means, I try to keep up and pay attention to see what's happening when some of our major leaders move around. And man, you just never know what's gonna go down on that other end when you get somewhere. So I just had to say that because that hot mess. Let me see. Uh Somebody else said they got family in Huntsville. They get ready to call. I'm like, I know, because I do want to know if they voted to remove him or not. That's crazy. All right. So let me do this. Gotta talk about leading up to this debate on tomorrow. I'm sorry. This cold is messing with my head. What is this? Nobody's answering the phone. Whoever sent me this text, I'm not sure what you mean. Nobody's answering the phone. If that was for me, unless you sent it to me by mistake, let me know. But the debate that's coming up. All right. So people are concerned. Donald Trump was in town this past Saturday and talking, real crazy, real strong about the candidates that are running, for president, vice president on the opposite side of the ticket. People have been talking about the debate prep, what that looks like. Kamala Harris, as folks have said, has been doing a lot of work, practicing, because this will be her first time coming up against Donald Trump. I think that it's important and significant that people have talked about that this is like the seventh. Oh, at the radio station. We aren't showing any calls coming through. I'll let the station management know. Text me and tell me which number you calling so I can figure it out. To figure out which phone is not responding. Debo. Okay. We got folks saying they're trying to call, but nobody's answering the phone. So we're gonna check. But caller, if you can, the 5250. They said that's the number they calling. Try 414-444-5253 and see if that one picks up, if that line picks up. But so folks are saying, we want to make sure as we talk about the lead up to this debate tomorrow, and I think this is going to be a highly watched debate. I think that folks will be watching that typically wouldn't have watched a presidential debate. And so he is already setting it up, using the word rigged in relationship to talking about the debate. Hang on one second. Let me see. This is something different. There was a whole Trump brigade going up and down the highway here in Cincinnati on Saturday with their flags and signs. I saw that because there were also some people dressed up in KKK regalia as a part of that little brigade. I actually looked at the photos, and I'm talking about outwardly had on white hood and the white cape crap, with the folks standing right next to the folks with the Trump banners, waving them back and forth. And I was like, I'm sorry, what's happening right now? Literally had on a KKK suit. As these people was waving these huge Trump banners in Cincinnati. I saw it on the news and almost had a heart attack because nobody turns around and says, hey, we ain't on that. Don't do that. Like, that's not a good look. Like, get away from us. Nobody. Dude was right there, a part of the crew, with no problem at all. So Trump is laying the foundation already for. I'm not sure if it's going to be a mediocre performance, if he'll go off the rails, what he'll do, but one of the things that he said that has made people kind of stand back is that he, plans to go after folks who he believes has something to do with the 2020 election, and that they didn't decide in his favor, and he's planning to retaliate. He wants people to go to jail. They'll be getting long sentences. I'm like, you don't have nothing to do with none of that. You ain't bringing charges. You're not making sentencing determinations. Like, you have nothing to do with any of that. This man is the king of selling wolf tickets. He is the king of it. But the thing going into this debate, he did something that I had not heard. I had missed this. So Tim Walz, he has been calling Tim Walz Tampon Tim. Have y'all heard that? I missed this. But I was talking to one of my suburban friends, and she was like in an uproar talking about this reference that he did. And I said, why would he be calling him Tampon Tim? What does that mean? Tim Walz advocated in his state that feminine hygiene products, in terms of tampons and or pads, be made available for free in public facilities that the state controlled for women. And people talked about the high cost of these products, and it's just an everyday part of life. And like in Wisconsin, in the state capital, tampons are free in the women's bathroom. All you gotta do is just turn a knob. If you need something, it's right there. And so the woman was just talking about how this has like been traveling around in suburban circles, where women are just talking about they have had it. They are fed up. They've had enough of this guy. You want to make fun and call people names, but you're talking about something that's a healthcare product for women. And that is a necessary everyday part of life. But you acting like some juvenile in a locker room at 12, 13 years old, calling somebody Tampon Tim because they made a product available that your daughter, your granddaughters, at one time your wife, everybody has had to use. Like, what is wrong with this man? And so I was like, no, I have not heard that little nickname. But the whole piece, calling Kamala Harris Crooked Kamala, people trying to figure out like what this is going to look like when they finally get to the debate. And, Lindsey Davis and David Muir are going to be doing this debate. Lindsey Davis just really, really, really. Somebody said, Michelle, no, they were out in the men's room. Why would they put tampons in the men's room? I ain't even get a start. And even if they did, so what? So what? So what? Because we know that there may be women who identify as male, but they still got periods and they use the men's room. So what's your point? Because we know the only person that's going to use them is going to be people that physically need them. So what's the point to the person who sent me the text message? But either way, you see how we sidestep the real issue is that you're so immature as a nearly 80-year-old man that you can't talk policy. You got to do childish, small, I was going to say small-minded, but like just the word immature just has to continuously describe this dude. Like, this is asinine. That a nearly a 77-year-old man is running around calling somebody Tampon Tim because you make hygiene products available in, your state. Ignorant. Don't move past. Oh, it was in the men's room. I don't care where it was. It's ignorant. Let me go to the phone line. Hey, caller, what's happening?
Hey, Michelle, what's happening?
Good morning. How you doing this morning?
Good. I think you leave it. Well, you might have just said it just now, but the argument is that trying to make is that because they want to put it in the boys' bathroom for the yes, but that is not true. They said they are not putting it in boys' bathrooms, but you know how they can start that rumor and then everybody starts jumping on it to try and make the other guy look bad.
Right.
Our favorite caller one day, him and Keith was going back and forth on that. And I sent Keith two or three articles about that to tell him, dude, next time, because you always tell him, when you come on the program, have your facts straight. But, he'll grab onto that other stuff and just start running with it, and he hasn't done any research to find out if it's true. He just starts spouting stuff. You know who I'm talking about. I'm not going to say their name.
Right.
The other thing, which kind of, what did you say? You're going to keep on speaking about it till, what did you say? What was the word you used? Nauseum or something like that?
Yes.
Earlier. And I'm going to keep on saying this. Before I go to church on Sundays, it's all week, MSNBC and all that stuff, but they just giving this man a pass. As long as he's going to show up with a pulse, he's good. But she's got to do all this studying, and I'm like, that's ridiculous. She's trained so much. I mean, you should be able to go on stage with your eyes closed and just blast this dude all over the place. But they talking about how all he got to basically do is show up, but they putting all the pressure on her. She got to do this, and it's just ridiculous, Michelle. It's just driving me crazy. I'm losing my hair already. I'm about to pull all of it out watching this stuff. I mean, they joking, laughing. I'm like, this is serious business, y'all. Now I can see Fox getting down like that, but ABC and all of them, they just giving this clown a pass and just the whole saying that we still living in. We always got to run fast to be smarter, all that stuff, and it's just like to be ahead of them.
But I mean, even when you look at how they're treating him versus how they treated Joe Biden, it's a difference. Even if you remove race, like Joe Biden, he was critiqued every step of the way for being old and this and this and this. Trump has had many of the same types of gaffes, mistakes, rambling, sounding crazy, and they've yet to characterize him in that way. They've yet to talk about him in that way.
It's just a shame, Michelle. And I was talking to a brother. He just got back from Atlanta, right?
Okay.
And I think he told me he was in the barbershop. I, to be honest with you, I can't tell me if he was in the restaurant or in the barbershop. How many of these young brothers, Michelle, down there, and this is in Atlanta.
Wait, he said what about the brothers in Atlanta?
These young brothers that are not going to vote for her.
Oh, yeah.
And guess why, Michelle? It's the same old ignorance of what has he done for us? And because E.T. held up the checks to put his name on the check. He didn't send them those checks, but they claim they do their research. They got their phones in their hand 24/7, but they still down with this nonsense, Michelle. It's just driving me crazy.
No, I hear you, bro. I appreciate it. Thank you so much.
I don't even know what to say anymore, Michelle.
Yeah, nope. Thank you. Thank you so much. Let me just say this, and because like people have to actually do the work to remind people that Donald Trump, when they were talking about doing the $900 billion in coronavirus or COVID relief, the relief bill that they did, he did not want to sign it. And then when he realized that, his party even was pushing on some level for some of the stuff to happen, that Congress had approved it, he demanded that the $2,000 checks, that, that his name be on them. And it's like, we don't send out checks with the president's name on. Like, what are you talking about? Like, what kind of foolishness are we doing? But Trump did not originally want much of that money that was going to people to even end up in their hands. He fought against it behind closed doors. And so it's so funny that he then turns around and orders the Treasury Department to print his name on the stimulus checks. Like, think about that for a second. You didn't even want people to get this money, but then you want your name on the dang check. It's too much. It is too much. So we got to work to educate people. But yeah, I have been really concerned, and not on a major level, but just, and you don't want to feel like you beating up on brothers, but some of these young bros, man, they make you nervous. They make you nervous. They make you nervous. They make you nervous because cats think they know. That's why I said it's important to have people that can draw straight lines and can clearly and concisely explain the things that you see in your neighborhood and in your community, how those things directly relate back to the White House, to the Biden-Harris administration, to money coming into the city. Because you got cats that's running around talking and they have no idea what they're talking about. Or it was just like I was listening to something and they were talking about the Venezuelan people supposed to be over in Chicago taking over apartment housing complexes and da da da. So it was a group of brothers that created their own video that I was looking at on TikTok last night. And they were walking into areas where supposedly the Venezuelan gangs had taken over. And the bros was like, let me just help people understand, particularly people that's not from Chicago. You ain't coming to this block over here and taking over nothing. So let me walk you through everything. So they was doing all of that. And they talked about, like, was this a conspiracy, an effort to create division between black and brown people and give law enforcement uh, a cover to be able to come in more heavy-handedly and police these black communities? And just to be, because I've had people say, like, are you paying attention to what's going on with these Venezuelan gangs, blah, blah, blah. And so to hear these brothers, like, y'all, these the builders. This is where they said people coming in and taking over. Now, there was an incident that happened somewhere else, but that's not happening here. And they walked through, they was talking to people, talking to neighbors. So getting people to understand that we have to pay attention to and do our homework when we hear things. You know, we got to dig deeper. We can't just take something and run with it, the surface stuff, and just run with it. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of young brothers, that's like why Jermaine Dupri? Jermaine Dupri posted something about Kamala Harris. And he basically was talking about, the policy. And social media, they tore his tail up with the baby girl socks on. They tore him up. They was like, what are you talking about? Like, there is no void of information about where Kamala Harris stands on issues. What are you talking about? So I got to switch gears because I got a guest coming in the studio. But leading up until tomorrow evening, there's some key things I'm going to be asking people to do, to look at. I'm going to ask people to actually watch the debate that normally wouldn't have watched it, because I think it's that important for you to walk away and formulate your own opinions and ideas and not be able to look at what somebody else said, but talk about it from your own lens. So let me take a quick break. Somebody sent me a picture of him in the baby socks with the lace on it. Y'all so silly. Nobody will ever understand that outfit. Like, never. All right, y'all. Let me take a quick break. Michelle Bryant, WNOV, say something real. I will be right back. woman makes me a little exhausted because it is always time to party when you see Mary Honey. What's happening, Mary? How you doing this morning?
Well, there's another party in Granville this weekend. It seems like I'm here a lot. Just
I mean, well, number one, that just speaks to the work and all the good things that are happening in the Granville area. You are the executive director? What's the title?
Oh, yeah, executive director of the Granville Business Improvement District.
And so you have been, behind some of the amazing family-friendly events that we have had over the last several years, to include, and I'll let you name some of the things that Granville has done.
Oh, wow. Well, I think the thing we're most known for, obviously, is the Blues Fest.
Exactly.
That's our biggie. That's our prime thing. We've also done Gospel Fest, and we're bringing it back, everyone, for 2025. Holy cow.
Whoa, okay.
Yeah, we're going to be doing just this kind of like an announcement. We're doing Blues Fest, and the following weekend we'll be doing two jazz evenings, and then at that weekend we'll be doing Gospel Fest, and we'll be bringing the drum. I can't think of the name of it. It's we put it on in Milwaukee all the time.
We are the drum?
Yes, we'll be bringing that to Granville.
Really?
Yes. Now the
Oh, my
weekends is going to be
goodness.
it'll be Father's Day weekend again for the Blues Fest, and then other activities go on for the next weekend. So it's kind of one big celebration mixed right in the middle of Juneteenth Day. So it's
Right.
really, I see this as we're also going to have a tent that's going to be the history of African American music. And that's going to be something we'll be working on to get curated. So it's going to be quite a 2 weeks in Granville. So that's next summer, everybody. So, okay, everybody, you've heard me. No other plans for Father's Day weekend. Blues Fest. So now you know. And I believe it's like June. I'm not sure what weekend it
I'll
is.
figure it out.
But everybody, mark your schedules, because those two weekends, actually, it's Friday, Saturday, Sunday blues, possibly Thursday, Friday jazz, Saturday gospel, and then we are the drum.
So that's
on
June 15th.
Sunday.
That's Sunday, June 15th.
Yes.
That weekend.
So plan your parties now, and it's sure to be an amazing. We haven't gotten to the lineup yet, but
So-
in between, this is like it's almost. I love summer, so I hate to say this. It's almost fall, but the weather is going to be more like summer. So we're having Harvest Fest. So we're kind of like
It's
kicking it
supposed to
off.
be in the 80s
I know.
during this harvest.
Well,
fest
like
time.
75.
75 somewhere?
75 to 80,
Okay.
they said this morning. And the rain's in the morning, according to somebody. So Sunday is going to be beautiful. Saturday is going to be amazing. And so we're doing our annual Harvest Fest.
And so what is Harvest Fest for folks who have never had a chance to come through?
Well, it's our third annual. And I'm saying that kind of last year we did Harvest Fest, and we did it during COVID. But this year we've kind of blown it up big time. We're making it 2 days, and we're bringing in entertainment, and we've got the big tent, and we've got our vendors. So it's definitely not the proportion of Blues Fest,
Right.
but it's the same kind of Granville spin, I would say, for a better word. So what we're doing is from 1 to 5 in our same parking lot, 8633 West Brown Deer Road, we're kicking off the harvest season with a very family-oriented event. The concept of this event is to bring the littles and the grannies and the grandpas and even the great grandmas and great grandpas to an event with the children that everybody can have things to do. And actually, we have enough activities that while the kids are doing the arts and crafts, the moms and dads can be doing the karaoke, or they can be doing, and the teenage kids, they can be listening to the music. They can be, just conversing with themselves. They can be shopping, because we have everything. First thing we have for the kiddos is the arts and crafts part, which will be put on by the Fate Art Center, which is in Granville. And what it is, it'll be art projects for the children that are pumpkins, leaves, that kind of thing. And probably for kids any age, I'd say from 18 months, when they can start holding a Crayola. I think that's about 18 months.
Okay.
I'm not sure. And probably to about 10, 11. That's where the sweet spot for that activity is. Then there's the famous horse rides, which I think those are for anybody that wants to get on a horse. I mean, we see
There will be
People of
horse
all ages.
rides.
Yes, we do the horse rides both days. The horses are back, guys. Horses.
Oh my
So
goodness!
moms and dads, grandpas and grandmas, if you've never been on a horse,
So you can actually adults can do this.
adults can do it. So if you've got a 3-year-old and you want to go on the horse with the 3-year-old, God bless you, please do. I mean, I think the adults get just as much a kick out of this as the kids.
yeah,
It's
for
really cool.
sure.
Because I know I've only been on a horse once. So if you've never been on a horse, this is your opportunity. Or if you've been on horses and want to do the horse rides, and they're the same group we always use. Then I said the arts and crafts. We have, of course, face painting again, and we have balloons. So we'll be doing the making of the balloons. So come get your face painted, figure out what, it's going to be a fall theme face painting, I think. Balloons. And something we had last year, karaoke. We have this big bus that comes, and they provide the opportunity to have karaoke. It's kind of like a bar party bus.
Okay.
Very popular down in the Marquette area. But last year we had it at Harvest Fest, and I've got to say the 11 to 20-year-olds just love this thing. And you just get in there, and everybody from the outside can hear you singing and watch you sing. So
That
kids
sounds
love-
like fun.
Okay,
I
now,
would do that.
all you singers out there, all you kids that want to be the next whoever, get your buddies together and start practicing, because on Saturday and Sunday, when your mom says you're going to Harvest Fest and you go, I don't want to, yeah, you do. Get your friends together and go to the karaoke bus.
That
It
sounds
is-
like a lot of fun.
and we are the first time the karaoke bus actually came out that far to a festival. They normally do the bars down by Marquette. And it was one of my vendors who told me about it and said, you need to bring this to a festival. It's so much fun. And last year, the lines were huge for that. So people at first last year didn't know what it was. So I'm telling everybody, just get in line. You'll have a good time. Plan on singing your little heart out. This year, we've added a photo booth. And it's not just a simple photo booth. This is one that is going to have all kinds of different, amenities included.
Okay.
And the cool thing is you walk out with your photo. So it's going to be a harvest themed photo booth where you can dress up or do whatever and get your pictures taken, 1, 2, 20 people, whatever you want to do. And it's going to be themed with harvest. And the really cool thing is you walk away with your pictures.
Oh yeah.
So that's
That
always
sounds
so much
good.
fun. I think the superheroes are coming. I'm not certain about that one. The big trucks from the city are supposed to be showing up. We are going to have something really, really fun. Bringing back from a couple of years ago when we did Kids Fest. We had a young lady named Kristen Farina, who was the second runner-up on So You Think You Can Dance.
Okay.
And from that, she went on. She's a Whitnall High School graduate. She went on to great things, including being one of J-Lo's main
I
dancers.
remember her now.
Yes, remember her?
Yes.
She also has danced with Chris Brown, several other people that are in the industry. She's in many commercials dancing. This girl does hip hop, and she teaches she has a way with people to teach them how to dance and dance the hip hop moves. And when she was at Kids Fest, I mean, she had the 2-year-olds, the 10-year-olds, the 12-year-olds, the grandmas in awe, just gathered around her. And she was like the Pied Piper. I mean, she had just everyone and having a great time learning to do the bust the
She's
move.
really good. I remember.
She
her.
is just
really, really good.
engaging with children, and that is her passion. She lives in LA, and she got into it with J-Lo, a nonprofit where they go into the urban communities and work with the kids to dance. And it's just so much fun. And her dream is that some child that she's teaching this weekend will get so into the music that this will just turn on a spark that 20 years from now, they'll be her replacement.
There you go.
I mean, she just wants to motivate children. So we've got the DJ Shannon, who we all know, who does all my events, is going to be playing the tunes. So this is how we're starting out. We have a little bit of music the first day. Then we have DJ Shannon spinning the tunes for about 45 minutes with our dancer teaching people. And then the Tina Turner Experience starring Brandy Phillips, who was in town a couple of weeks ago. And I hear the show was just
Well, I interviewed
well
her
received.
and I didn't get to see the show, but the energy that this woman had through the phone, the interview was so good. And so I heard the reviews were stellar.
So if you missed it, Milwaukee, come on out and see Brandy, because we got the energy up with the kids dancing. Then we're going to bring Tina Turner on the stage. Then we're going to bring it down so everybody can kind of calm down, and the kids are going to go back out and learn another dance, which they can dance while Tina does her final part of the show. So it's kind of like what we're doing is we're instead of just one whole show for 2 hours and then the dancing, we're splitting it up. So that gives people an opportunity to go out, go on the horses, go do the karaoke,
move around a little bit, come back,
get your kid from the crafts so that they can enjoy the music. Find your child. No, don't lose them, please. So the idea is that we keep this, a lot of energy, a lot of opportunity. We are trying to keep the food down to under $6. That's my goal. Okay. Again, I want this to be extremely family friendly. There will be vendors out there.
Is there a cost to attend?
Oh, no. It's free. We just try to keep we're trying to keep for this one the prices really low, because we know we want you to bring the kids.
Okay.
And kid-friendly food, which means sorry, that was my phone.
And so for folks that were worried, because I heard you kind of say it a minute ago when we first started talking, like, Mary, this is football weekend.
Oh, don't worry, folks. Now, do you think that, I'm a sports freak. I'm a total sports nut. Do you think I didn't look at that? We're going to have a big TV there okay. Sunday, you, instead of sitting in your house watching the game by yourself or with your family, and you're kind of like trying to stay awake, instead of that, you can come out here on Sunday and the event goes on. And if you must watch the game, and yes, I will be looking at it every now and then, there will be a big TV with it on. So we are encouraging people to come, in the middle of the event. You need to take 10 minutes and go check the score, do whatever, sit near the TV while you listen to the music. I mean, we are accommodating fans, because I know that I always have my eye on the football.
Yeah, I don't know where I was.
And the baseball games.
Friday night, I was at something, and some game or something was happening, and everybody kept going, like you can see all the guys at the tables, like checking scores and looking down. I don't know what it was, but it was so funny.
And guys, we all know that half of you do have these games on your phone too, but we're also going to have it on the TV for you. Because Sunday, you don't want to miss it. We chose Rico. He's done Vegas, regional performer for 20 years of Michael Jackson, and won many awards as one of the best Michael Jackson impersonators out there. Now,
so I'm telling you, I'm driving down 76th Street. I see the huge billboard advertising Harvest Fest. And I'm like, is that Michael Jackson? Like, literally. And I've seen Rico perform. This guy is phenomenal.
Yep.
Like, Michael Jackson would be like, okay, you got me better than me almost. This is nothing short of cool that he is actually going to be in Granville.
Oh, it's amazing. It's his first time in Milwaukee. So
this is crazy.
The reason behind him, I saw him in Illinois at a fundraiser, and it was a family, not a fundraiser like we think, all dressed up, a family fundraiser for a youth group in the inner city in Chicago. He performed, and I mean, again, the energy in the room and the participation of the fans and everybody just really getting into it, kind of like almost a showstopper. So because we know that both of our people, both Brandy and Rico, gain a lot of attention, we're doing the same setup with the dance lessons, Michael Jackson impersonator, dance lessons, and then Rico ending it. So it gives people a chance to, it's not like, I know sometimes at the Blues Fest, you sit down, you sit in your chair and you never leave. We're encouraging that you sit in your chair, and also maybe, especially if you've got the kids with you, let them do the learning how to dance thing then while you go get some food, go enjoy the other things. And, again, we'll have if you are waiting for a horse while Rico's appearing, we always do a good job that you can hear the music when you're not sitting under the tent.
So, Mary, this is a lot to bring. Like, what?
Yeah, it is.
Well, yeah, the work is crazy. But, like, what's the significance? Why the effort to create these events and opportunities and activities in the community? What
Wait,
because how does this fit in with the mission of Granville Business?
our
Improvement District?
mission is to grow the area and grow it both. As I always talk about the stool, we have to grow. Obviously, we're a business improvement district, so we want to grow business, and we're funded by business. In case your listeners don't know, we have 345 businesses, and most of them are manufacturers that put the money into the Granville bid that allows us to do a lot of our project, everything we do. So that's where we get all of our money. So why? That's one part of the stool is business. The other side is our residents, and that's where this comes into community. Totally, it's about our community, and if our community is not strong, our businesses, none of them are going to stay. We have to build community, and we have to marry our businesses to our community at some point. And the other very big important thing is our visitors. We get visitors to come to our area. They discover the area. Right now, that's critical to us to get people who, and that includes many listeners who don't live in Granville. Is it worth the drive if you live on 20th and Capitol to come out to Granville? Yes, because if you haven't been out there, you're going to notice things are looking better than maybe if you haven't been out there in 10 years. If you do come to the Blues Fest, come again. You're going to start getting a routine that as we continue to grow and our businesses grow, and we get more things that you want to come out to, it becomes a normal place for you to go, not a where's Granville? Kind of a joke sometimes I say. I think a lot of people don't know where we're at. So it's important you grow a community by having things for people to come into, things for the people that live there, and of course your employer base. So it's critical. So it's especially when you are like we are on the outskirts of the city. In order for us to really, really thrive, we need folks to come from the rest of the city and the outlying areas. So that's the reason we put things up at a very high level and are on WNOV advertising, because we know we need WNOV listeners, no matter where you live, to come out to Granville and discover us. And so it's part of a discovery. And then it will be, the other thing is that when you do community project, when you do a community event, it builds positivism for the community,
Right.
and it builds pride. It builds a positive feedback. They say that when people get out and speak to people and get to know people, it's the way that you build community. You don't build community by staying in. You build community by actually going out and enjoying your community and meeting others. It's critical, because when people start meeting each other, they discover
And I mean,
real
the Blues Fest is
energy.
becoming like a reunion.
It
You
is.
know, you
Yes.
go and I'm always watching, not being from Milwaukee, but I'm always watching folks connecting like, oh my God, I haven't seen, or I've heard people say, I know I'm going to see so-and-so at Granville.
Yeah.
Like if I don't see him all year long, I'm going to see him at the Blues Festival. And if they don't see, because like there was the older lady that always comes out on the dance floor, Debo, that dances, that has the leggings on. We didn't see her this year.
You talking about my girlfriend?
Is that the older sister?
Oh no. I'm talking about.
Yeah, you talking about the one, like, no, not her. There's an older sister. And it was so crazy because everybody around us realized we didn't see her this year.
Isn't that the truth? I
Yeah.
mean, seriously, at the Blues Fest, the Granville thing has come that I know that certain people that come, and if they're not there,
Yeah.
it's like, what happened to
Exactly what's
so-and-so?
going on.
And it's funny, you don't know their name, because if you knew their name, you'd get on the phone and call
I
them.
mean, like we literally were about a wellness check for this
Yeah.
woman because she is a regular. She is the first one to hit that dance floor.
yes,
And everybody was like, kind of like laughing, like, oh, we're going to see her. And we never saw her.
you're right. I
this
I
year.
can see her. I can visualize her.
Because she always would wear those little leggings, little
Yeah.
white leggings, and have her little hat on. And I'm like, where is she? So I'm going to tell you, as somebody who lives in the area, I'm up off 107th and Calumet. It is a source of pride. It is really cool to see so many people coming into the area because, you know, we've dealt with a lot of transition and businesses leaving, the blight that was Northridge. And so the work that's being done to build it up, you can see it happening. And folks are really proud that, you know, come party in the neighborhood. And the fact that I can drive 4 minutes away to go have this amazing time.
Right.
Nothing short of just the coolest thing ever.
You don't have to go somewhere. I mean, it's like, it's in Milwaukee, everybody. And the other big thing is when you do go there and you spend money, you're shopping local. I mean, these are with local Milwaukee vendors. So that's part 2 of this whole thing when I stop and think about it. You might go out to the falls, and God bless the falls. You could go out there for one of their festivals, but those probably aren't our local vendors.
Right.
These are all vendors who will either be in the Granville Connection, and yes, next year we'll be talking about that as it is. Don't ask me a date. I don't know yet, but next year it definitely will be. That they're local people. So we're spending our dollars on local vendors when you do come and buy. And it's not, I don't bring anybody in that's not Milwaukee.
Well, I'm gonna tell you, some of my best shopping gets done. I wait to make sure I buy a book from your book vendor, jewelry from one of your jewelry vendors that I love, my Avon products from
She'll be at
Rhonda.
Rhonda will be at Harvest
Rhonda,
Fest. Come get your Avon.
Yeah, like, and it's certain people, like it's certain food vendors that we look for when we come out there. I don't know if the turkey leg and macaroni and cheese lady is gonna be there, but Lord have mercy.
Well, Pops is going to be at the Harvest Fest for sure.
I always do. Pops.
Yeah. So if you're looking, okay, everybody, if you love Pops on Sunday, come to Pops. Come to our Harvest Fest. Pops is there, and stay and listen to this amazing program.
Okay.
I mean, the Packers will be in the background. They'll be on TV, but you're not going to get to see these 2 performers again. Who knows when, where, or whatever.
Right.
It's not like they're not on the traveling circuit like other people.
No. So look, so let's just remind people as I wrap, this is happening this weekend.
This is happening this weekend.
The 14th and the
Saturday
15th.
and Sunday, 1 to 5.
So this is not one of those things where you get to say, "Oh, I'm gonna go out there later, 4:00." Y'all need to come on when it opens.
I really think
be
you want to
ready to
be there
come.
between,
Yeah.
1 to 5. Try to get there. We did the 1 because we know about church,
Right.
and Rico starts at 2 because of church.
Okay.
But the dancing is going to be honest to God. Bring the kids. The kids are going to have a blast, but so will the adults.
I love
We
that.
got a little
I
bit
love
for
that.
everybody. Like I said, whether you're a little, if you're 6 months old, it's probably not going to be a lot of fun. But if you're old enough to walk, there's something for you to do. And if you're in your wheelchair, there's
Something.
great events for you.
Perfect.
And we don't anticipate the crazy crowd, so we don't think parking will be a huge issue, but you never know. But we're assuming that we're going to be able to fit everybody in our lot.
Well, I'm gonna actually be out of town. Or
No!
yeah, I'm gonna be at the White House on the
Oh, well,
one day
me.
this week, and then
Granville White House. Really?
Excuse me.
I mean, seriously. Can you tell the White House to wait?
I can. But no, because I just want people to know if they come and they don't see me there, I would be there if I was in town. Absolutely would be there. And I just want you to know real quick, Rep Myers was listening. She was like, she did ask about the connection, but you said you'll talk about that next time we get together. And then she ended it with Mary is the best with 4 exclamation points.
Well, thank you.
So, just so you know, you have fans. All right, folks, I got to get out of here. I am wrapping up the show now. I'm going to go home and get in my bed. I am sweating through this whole thing. Lord have mercy. But we got the show done today. Devo, appreciate you. Carby P.
Devo's the best too.
Is he?
Thank you.
Is he? Really?
Thank you, Mary. I appreciate that.
Really? Like that sweater too, by the way. Love those colors. All right, family, I gotta go. Y'all, make sure you go out and support this. This is a free activity, except for food. You are going to have a ton of fun. But come out, support these local businesses, and get ready to have a good time. I'll talk to y'all tomorrow. Peace.